Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to another review on the YouTube video channel. Now I hope you enjoyed the first one I put out, Baron Park, or Bear Park as you, whatever you want to call it. And like I say, the style will develop over time and so will the quality of the videos and that. But I hope you're enjoying them so far. Well, the one that I've put out. But this one's a doozy. When I went to the UK Games Expo, I was shocked to find that the hotness of the expo was a game that I just never expected to, really be that hot. I'd barely even heard of it, and then suddenly everybody's buying it and it's sending out copies everywhere. This one, without a shadow of a doubt, was definitely the hidden hit of the expo, and that is Century Spice Road from Plan B Games. This is designed by a man who I know the pronunciation of his name I am going to completely mess up, but Emerson Matsuki. Matsuki? Sorry if I get the pronunciation wrong, but this is a designer of Spectre Ops. Now this is a game I've not played, but Spectre Ops was where you effectively had one guy sneaking into a base and all the others were trying to locate them by hidden movement. It sounds really cool and I want to try it. This one is completely different from that. This one has been compared to the likes of Splendor. And Splendor, as most people will know, was like a massive hit for ages. It's regarded as one of the best gateway games out there in terms of accessibility, in terms of ease of play for getting people into light-hearted Euro games. Well, Century Spice Road is apparently being regarded as the Splendor Killer, incorporating a similar style of play, similar level of component quality, but adding more depth to what Splendor already had. Now, can this really be a Splendor Killer? Really? I mean, that's a tall order to kick the likes of Splendor off the table. Can it do it? Well, first, let's give you an overview of how the game plays, and then I'll give you my thoughts. Century Spice Road is a light card game taking up to 45 minutes to play and going between 2 to 5 players. In this game, you are effectively trading spices, and these spices vary in terms of rarity, from the yellow being the most common to brown being the most rare. In this game, you are buying action cards that allow you to do various things with these cubes. They may acquire more cubes, they may convert different color cubes into other color cubes, like say 2 green become 2 brown and a red or something like that. And they may also be upgrade cards, which allow you to basically level up the cubes. So you might have the bottom level two of the bottom level yellow cubes, and these cubes would become 2 red cubes. With these cards, the aim of this game is to buy the various point cards that come out into play. Each one of these has a requirement for what cubes you need to spend in order to acquire the card, and a point value for how much they're worth. All of these are set out in a row, and if you buy the one furthest away from the deck, you will be rewarded with bonus coins from the gold ones worth 3 and the silver worth 1. In addition to just simply playing action cards, your turn sequence is very simple. You just basically play a card, or you acquire a card, or you take one of the claim points. When playing your action cards, these will go in front of you and you cannot get them back until you spend an action to rest, at which point you will draw all the cards you have played back into your hand and you will be able to play them again. This stops the inevitable spamming of the same action card over and over again. However, when acquiring action cards, this has a mechanic similar to the likes of Small World, where if you want to buy the first card in the row, then it's free, no problem. But if you want to buy any card further along the row, you must place additional spice cubes as far as it takes to get that card, thus making the cards previous more appetizing to other players. And that's essentially most of the game. You will spend your turn either playing a card, acquiring a card, or taking one of the point values. If you rest, you're effectively missing the turn. You need to do that every now and again, but obviously this is delaying you from getting various cards. Play just continues in a fairly speedy fashion until, like I said, 5 point cards are bought, and then you simply tally up the points. Century Spice Road has got a lot going for it. Now, it does play similarly to Splendor, but let's get this out of the way first. This is not a Splendor Killer. In fact, I think this is different enough from Splendor that you could happily own both these games. If you feel that they are too similar, then you can get one or the other and you'll be fine. But but I do not think that this one is simply kicking the snot out of Splendor. No, it's not completely wiping the floor. It plays in a similar level of depth. You know, you have to think about what are those cards you're going to get, which ones are useful. You're more building an engine in this one. With Splendor, you just took the gems and you bought the cards. But with this one, you buy the cards and then you have to do the extra shenanigans with the cubes in order to claim the point cards. And it's a race against time because everybody else is possibly gunning for the same card you are. So you have to pay attention to what everyone's got in their little storage caravan full of spices. The theme is tacked on like crazy. I mean, Splendor is no different. Splendor just had pretty drawings and made you out to be a gem dealer. This one, as far as I can tell, they've gone out of the way to essentially say this is the first in a series, and it's all based on this whole century thing across there. You know, a different time period for each game. Now, fair enough. If you want to do things as little mini-series like that, then great. But to be honest, what's the point with this one? Because in this one, you are literally just doing shenanigans with cubes and buying cards. There is no theme in this game. The theme is just literally the pretty pictures and the fact that you're calling things spices. Now, they go yellow, red, green, brown. And the spices in that order are turmeric, saffron, cardamom, and cinnamon. By the end of this video, you'll have forgotten what those 4 spices are, I bet you, because you really don't care during this game. You play an action card and it says turn in 2 red cubes and you will get 2 green and a couple of yellows or something. Yeah, you're not saying I'm going to turn in 2 saffron and take 2 turmeric and 2 cardamom. No, because you've already forgotten the names. You're just calling them by their colours. So the theme, like in Splendor, makes no difference. You know, they are both bone dry, very simple Euro-style games. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing for this, because the gameplay is very smooth. Turns are very quick. Some people may AP at times, but, you know, that's generally quite a rarity. You know, you have very little that you need to do on your turn. You just play a card, acquire a card, rest, or claim a card. All of these things can be done very quickly, and if you're paying attention to the game as things goes on, you'll know what you're going to do by the time your turn comes around. Occasionally someone will nick a card that you were after, in which case you might just have to rethink a little, but you really don't freeze for that long. The cards themselves and the artwork is gorgeous. Everything looks nice in this, just like it did with Splendor, you know, so they're both on that same kind of bullfront. But this one does feel more in-depth than Splendor. So if you're looking for like the meatier version of the two, I'd say go for this one, because you've got to effectively build the engine with those cards. Now, that's not to say that the game is flawless either, because one problem I have noticed with this, the cards that come out, the action cards, they're not evenly distributed. The majority of them are going to be the conversion ones. So you take so many cubes and they become so many various other cubes. They form most of the deck, and not all of them will give you extra cubes. It will be like, you know, you might convert 3 into 3. Not all of them do it. And the ones that tend to do that tend to mean getting rid of a really nice high-level cube, and then it becomes lots of lower-level ones, which is only so useful at times. There's not that many in the deck that just let you get new cubes, and that's how you populate your caravan for the most part. And I think there's literally only 1, maybe 2 upgrade cards in this deck. Now, you start off with a couple of starter cards, one that just gets you 2 yellow cubes and a upgrade card, which allows you to upgrade 2 cubes up a level, or 1 cube up 2 levels. There's a card in the deck that allows you to do this 3 times rather than 2. I swear it's the only card in that deck, and it's quite powerful to have both of those handy, so a lot of people will gun for it the second it comes out. But why is there only 1 of them? And why only so many with the acquire cubes ones? I think sometimes the game has a habit of stalling at times depending what cards come out. Because I've had games of this where it's been fairly lightning fast because a lot of the ones that allow you to acquire cubes have come out. But then I've had it stall at times where most of the cards that come out are all the various conversion ones, and usually the high level ones, and at that point people don't really want to buy the cards because it's not useful for them. So if no new cards are coming out, everyone's pretty much just doing what they can with the few cards that they started with, and that does slow the game down. You also have to be careful about getting some of a mix of the cards, because if you focus entirely on just one type of card, you're going to lose. It's flat out like that. You know, if you don't get any of the cards that allow you to acquire more cubes, you're in with a very tough game, because you're going to run out of cubes quickly, especially after you've bought 1 or 2 of the point cards. But then if you get nothing but the cube acquisition ones, then you're not going to be able to convert them into what you need quick enough, because you're constantly going to have to rest in order to get those cards back. Resting, the turns are super fast. It's not a big deal if you've got to miss your turn to rest, because the turns are so quick, the downtime is fairly minimal with this. So there are those little small flaws with the game with stalling, but it doesn't happen that often. More often than not, it will still play very smooth, and as people get used to how the game plays, then the acquisition of more cards will become more apparent. And it really does depend on the players. I've had some who refuse to put any cubes down to buy cards, and I have some who will literally just chuck off their entire caravan onto the pile in order to get those specific cards. So each game will play out slightly differently. The replay value, though, is not perfect because, let's face it, you pretty much have a few different point cards of various types, and then that's about it, really. You don't have much variety. You don't start off with any different cards. The action cards are mostly the same kind of thing. It's just different cubes for different cubes. And there's nothing special about the point cards. It's just literally cash in these and get so many points. I do like it, though. It's a very nice, lightweight game with a little bit of depth. If you like engine building games and you just want to get people into that kind of initial set, then this is a good little gateway game to do that with. And it's certainly a gateway level game. However, I would technically, if you were to ask me to choose between the two, because, we've had Splendor for a while and it's a solid game, and now we've got this one on the block. I would personally choose Splendor if I was going to just keep one. I think Splendor's accessibility is better. I think the fact that it's so simple to play and teach just elevates it a little bit above Century Spice Road, as a personal opinion. But I think you could own both these games without a problem. I don't think you need to have only one. I think if you wanted to have both, you could have both. You could have the more accessible one and the more meaty one. Not to say that this one isn't, that meaty. It's just got an extra layer on top of Splendor. But bear in mind, Splendor will be coming out with an expansion, so you are going to have to remember that maybe that will throw your decision as well. But I can recommend Century Spice Road. I don't think it's the hottest thing this year, and I have played better games in 2017 so far, but it's a decent game. I think it could stay on my shelf. I think I wouldn't mind hanging on to it. The components are, other than the fact you're using cubes, the artwork is gorgeous. You get little bowls to hold the cubes in, which is really nice. You unfortunately don't get that playmat that you see at demos, but no big deal. You don't need to spend money on a playmat unless you're going to play this 20 million times or something. It's a decent enough game without it, and at least the box size is a little bit more suitable for it, whereas Splendor was even worse. Although, to be fair, you probably could fit this in a smaller box as well. But, the insert holds the little cups and the cubes and that, so it does a good job. And the cards are nice and big, so it's easy to read. There's nobody that's going to have a problem with reading them. Although, if you're colorblind, good luck. Colorblind people need not apply, because there is nothing in this game to distinguish the colours from each other. So if you can't tell yellow, red, green or brown apart, you're not going to be able to play this game at all, because you will just be completely lost as to what cube is what. So I'll give you that warning now. There is no colourblind differentiation here, and if that is a problem, stay away. But Century Spice Road is a decent game, and so I'm giving it 7 lovely cumin spices. Yes, cumin does not feature in this game, but I don't care. I like cumin, I like curry, I want them in this game. And let's face it, you've already forgotten what the other 4 spices are, haven't you? Yeah, bet you have. But no, this is a decent, solid game. I recommend checking it out, but just don't go into it with the mindset that this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread and an absolute Splendor Killer, because I think they're separate enough for you to consider both of them. So, that's it from me for another review. Take care, and remember, until next time, it's only a game.